Okay. So a client, all they have to do is just say, give us gathers, and then they can do inversion, right? Or do the gathers need some special processing?
Oh, well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the gathers, exactly, they very much do need special processing. So they need AVO compliant processing, which means that the AVO signal, so the variation, the amplitude variation with offsets or angle, as it really is, contains the information on this wave field partitioning I mentioned earlier, from P wave to S wave. So that information is what's used to drive the inversion. So any variation or any measurement of that wave field partitioning from the subsurface contains information on those elastic properties. So we need to ensure in processing that we are preserving that amplitude variation and maybe enhancing that amplitude variation, if you like. So no processing step which damages that natural AVO signal is acceptable. And if processes don't fully address effectively artifacts in the data, so you can think of ghosts as artifacts, they're artifacts of the way the seismic data has been recorded. If they're not fully dealt with in the pre-stack domain, they're going to feed into an unreliable AVO signal and cause mismatches in the inversion in comparison to the true subsurface properties. So you can't use a processing flow which has produced good stack products in the past. You have to have fully suitable AVO compliant processing in the pre-stack domain. It could be if we are only delivering a stack product, we may have an 80% solution, which when you stack the data looks fine. If you're planning to deliver gathers for inversion, 80% may not be good enough. So then you have to spend the extra time to get that final 10, 15% to take you up to say 95%. And as we all know, unfortunately, you can get to 80% quite quickly, but getting that final 10, 15%, that's often what can take time. And that's where the experience and the detailed work has to go in. So I would say that, yeah, on stack products, the processing is still AVO compliant. We're not damaging AVO signal, but there will be times when a decision is made based on the final deliverable, which is a stack. So if you have problems on your far angles, it doesn't matter because you're not stacking them up. Whereas if you're doing AVO compliant, you're doing gathers for inversion, that is a problem. So you have to fix that. And then also on top of that, you add in quantitative QCs of your AVO signal from the very beginning of processing all the way through. And those are quite specialist QCs that you wouldn't necessarily need to look at for a stack-only product, but for an AVO-compliant sequence for inversion, you would want to be looking at those. So again, it's a combination of that final 10 to 15% in terms of quality of processing, plus more thorough analysis and QC of the AVO signal.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, because seismic inversion is it's feeding directly into the information that engineers will use to design a foundation. And for foundation design, you need precision and you need confidence in your data. So that extra 10 or 15% that we can eke out in processing becomes really, really important. And then the QCs that we can add on top of that give you confidence that 10 and 15% you're adding on is actually 10 or 15% because you've got the data there to back it up that you are being AVO compliant.